Huge game for the Birds. Kansas City Chiefs rematch from the Super Bowl. Although, of course, we know that was a while ago now. It's in the past. It's a different team for them as well as for us, but it is still a huge game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which, as we'll get to in a moment, have basically become practically a division rival thanks to the NFL in Nick Sirianni's reign in Philadelphia. So I want to play you a short clip first from WIP. I want to talk about this, and then I want to give you some interesting things that we have to look forward to in this game, and I want to hear what you had to say as well. So we had this on WIP the other day.
You said a loss on Sunday is an acceptable loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. It's absolutely acceptable. The Eagles going into this game, if they lose to Kansas City 24-21, it's a close game. They're playing a Chiefs team that is desperate for a win, that never loses their home opener, that Mahomes has lost back-to-back games 3 or 4 times in his career. He's never lost 3 straight games. Everything is stacked against them. So you can go in there, and if you lose a competitive game, that's fine.
Everything is stacked against them, aside from having by far the more talented roster.
But that does not always matter, especially early in the year. It is a situational thing, right? The Chiefs have the better situation here because they need it. They're at home. It's the home opener. For what it's worth, they still do have Mahomes and Andy, so it's not like they're devoid of talent. They have Trent McDuffie, Christian. They have good players.
They don't have any receivers.
And they just got skewered by
That makes it harder. The fact that they're coming off a loss is what makes me feel this way. I think winning that game on Sunday would be so incredibly impressive, and it's a perfectly acceptable loss. If they go there and they lose, I'm not going to come out of there and be like, this team's soft. Jalen can't win a big game. They can't beat the Chiefs. None of those things are true.
It's not acceptable. Now, it doesn't mean that if they lose, the season is over with, but it's nowhere on this earth that I'm okay or any Eagles fan should be okay at the end of that game if they lose to the Chiefs. The standards are different. Mm-hmm. This nonsense of they're the Chiefs, you're going to Arrowhead and Patrick Mahomes, all this nonsense. Nobody care about that. We just put boots to ass in the Super Bowl against this same team, if not a better team then. So it wasn't about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and all that stuff when it was 40-6. It wasn't. So I want to see a better performance than what I saw last week from this Eagles team.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to say, I side with Ike on this one. Look, I get it. If we want to back up and really think about it, we all know the Eagles are not going undefeated. No one's gone undefeated since the Miami Dolphins. What was it, 71, 72, whatever it was. I forget off the top of my head, but it has been a while. However, there's no such thing as an acceptable loss. Have you ever heard an Eagles fan talk about an acceptable loss? And we're not going to come out of it if they lose and talk about Jalen Hurts' performance or the team being soft. We're going to be pissed, yeah, because we want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs and we think we're a better football team. Well, we're certainly not going into it with this. Can you imagine these players looking at the schedule and going, oh, well, Kansas City lost last week, and Patrick Mahomes never loses 3 straight, and they never lose their home opener. So we're gonna head into Kansas City, and oh my God, the game's in Arrowhead. So I guess we'll go out there, but we're gonna look at this as an acceptable loss before we even get on the field. That is absolutely insane. I have never heard an Eagles fan talk like this. I want to go through a couple things that are just kind of interesting here. If I can pull this up, let's make sure I have the right thing. This is kind of as Tom says here, and shout out to Time because it was put out that this game will mark the first time we've ever seen 2 quarterbacks face off in the regular season after winning a Super Bowl against each other. And as Tom said here, well, no quarterbacks have ever won a Super Bowl against each other. That has never happened before in the NFL. So that's kind of interesting, and it could very well happen again this season where they could square off. But to that point as well, it's even more than that. Did you know, and I did not know this, I know it seemed like we've been playing them a lot lately, but we've got a couple of Super Bowls in there as well. The Chiefs are the only non-NFC East team that the Eagles will face in all 5 of Nick Sirianni's seasons. It says, in fact, in the locker room, they discussed the Chiefs almost like a divisional opponent because there's so much familiarity. Yeah, 100%. all 5 years of Nick Sirianni's reign and a couple of Super Bowls, it is definitely a team you're going to look at as a rival. I don't know, other than maybe the Cowboys Steelers in the mid late 70s, were there two teams in opposite conferences where you could look at that as a rivalry. So that is kind of interesting, and to see that. So it is a huge game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, it's a short season. Well, you know what I mean. It's a long season. It's a short number of games relative to other sports. Every single game is important, and I want to share you with this because this is kind of interesting too. And this is where it's really going to get interesting, because if there's one thing all fan bases in the NFL have united on, it is the fact that the NFL puts their thumb on the scale for the Chiefs. So someone sent me this from the Babylon Bee. It's a satire site. NFL fires officiating crew that allowed Chiefs to lose season opener. And now the Eagles, who went BTA against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, have to go into Arrowhead against an 0-1 Chiefs team. I do not think the NFL wants the Chiefs starting out 0-2. So real quick, we're going to leave you with this. I think this was actually a couple of years ago, but I want to contrast this with something from week one, which is why I'm showing to you. And this is a hit on the Packers that was called a late hit. And I think we all know this is the type of thing you can see right here. Here's the hit, man. There's the hit. Patrick Mahomes is clearly in bounds. You can see the feet of the official up at the top of that screen there, and they threw a flag and called this a late hit. And that is the type of protection that Patrick Mahomes has been getting. And because of that, and to be fair, he's not necessarily the only one, but I think it's the most egregious when it's Patrick Mahomes, and that has allowed QBs to get through a lot of nonsense. And to be fair, I've seen Josh Allen do it as well, and where they look like they're heading out of bounds, and the defense has to back off so much that then quarterbacks decide they're going to stay in bounds because they know they aren't going to get touched, and if they do, they're going to get a call. And why is that such a big deal? Because here's then another example of why this is a problem. And this is, again, Patrick Mahomes running toward the sideline. This was week one against the Chargers. And okay, now here you go. You see where he's running. He's got the first down. He is going to head to the sideline. So what do you have to do as a defender, knowing how the game is refereed nowadays with quarterbacks, especially with Patrick Mahomes, is you have to let up. So look at that hit by Patrick Mahomes. Right before he goes out of bounds, he decides he's going to hit a player that has basically already stopped playing because he's terrified of hitting Patrick Mahomes and getting not only a penalty, but possibly thrown out of the game and suspended. And then you get that kind of stuff. And then Mahomes is going to complain when he gets shoved and put his hands up, acting like a little, well, I won't even say what he's acting like, but that's the type of stuff that really pisses off the players, it pisses off the fans, and it's the type of crap that the NFL has got to stop. And then for Patrick Mahomes, like you don't gain fans with that crap. And I understand he's really popular, and I don't really have anything against Patrick Mahomes, but when I see something like that, I want someone to knock him out, like literally knock him out, put him out of the game, just the way well, legally, let me put that legally within the game. I would love to see that happen, because that type of crap that he just pulled, to get the calls he gets, and look again, take away the way the game has been refereed for quarterbacks and especially for Patrick Mahomes, and then I have no problem with what Mahomes did, because without the context of all the other stuff, 100% a legal hit. The quarterback has just as much right in the field of play to hit the defender as the defender does him, but that's the problem. We don't let the defender hit him, right? Man, and then to throw up his arms like, oh, I'm a little angel, I didn't do anything wrong. No, Patrick Mahomes knows how he is officiated, and he used that to hit another player, and that is the problem that I have. So it's going to be interesting going into Arrowhead for the Eagles. And then to that point, I'm going to wrap it up with this, right? This is a Chiefs, and this is why I want to show this last. This is a Chiefs account, folks, because Jalen Carter only got suspended for the one game. Certain players on certain teams get special treatment. It's unbelievable. Really? A Chiefs fan Take a look at what I just showed you and then say that to me. Anyway, huge game this weekend. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video. Thank you so much for all your support. Do me a favor, if you are enjoying the content, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are brand new. We are trying to grow and get full force into this season. I may have to start doing some Philly stuff soon as they roll into the playoffs and potentially clinching a division title as well. I appreciate you. I will talk to you in the next video.